Good morning, everybody. Dear participants, professors, scientists, PhD research scholar, principal, vice principal, vice chancellor, police commissioner, industrialist, and the resource person. Welcome in our international multidisciplinary conference organized by International College, Bandra, Mumbai. Welcome in our today's one-day international multidisciplinary conference, which is going to held today, 29 January 2023. Today's one-day online international multidisciplinary conference on library in pure science, applied science, management, law, commerce, sports, home science of higher education system in India. This conference aims to do the higher education in India stronger through organizing such a big international activity for the pillars of higher education system, professors, scientists, PhD research scholar, industrialists, etc. I would like to announce that today's one-day international conference have got huge success because of two international, that means out of India, 2 papers have been received, plus 223 papers have been received from India in different universities and colleges of higher education system in India. Total 2 abroad paper, 23 from India, Indian universities and colleges. This conference is successful because of love and enthusiasm for doing the betterment in research methodology in higher education system in India. I would like to thank college principal Mona madam, Dr. Neha Jaktani madam, Dr. Gokhale madam for support and giving the tender for marketing and publishing UGC as well as peer review international journal and making the agreement with our SHRI Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company. I would like to thank the trustee and all the teaching, non-teaching staff of International College from our bottom of heart. Thanks. SHRI Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company is always helps to betterment and trying to do the stronger the higher education system in India and abroad through organizing such a big platform of international level events organizing through our companies. The main motto and main aim to give the support for organization, international conferences, making a such scholarly publication through peer review and UGC journals, marketing of the events through Z Media, Star Pravaha, APB Maza, Times of India, Lok Satta, Lokmat, etc. Our partner of the publication is that this conference is very useful for the Indian professors and PhD scholar, and as well as for the effective for the PhD career advancement schemes, annual performance indicator as per the UGC stipulated norms. Again, thank you everyone for sending your valuable article, your patent for the publication of one day international conference in UGC as well as peer review. Thanks again. Today's conference will be start with our national anthem, Jana Gana Man. I would like to request all the participation, please stand up for our national anthem, Jana Gana Man. Please stand up, please.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा Jaya 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 He.
Thanks. Please sit down. We are the Indian. When we just listen, the Jana Gana Mana, our national anthem, that time our mind, our soul, our studious mind, it get inspired. Therefore, so many researchers, so many professors, so many scientists are working under different type of the companies out of India in India because of only the UGC and higher education system in India. What type of the knowledge we have just delivered, what type of the knowledge we acquire, and we doing some modification as per the conception of our subject wise. Therefore, I would like to thanks all the Indian researchers, especially universities, colleges, for making India higher and higher for betterment of India in education field. Thank you for that. I would like to hand over this session to Principal Madam. Before Principal Madam, Mona Madam will talk. Mona Kejriwal, please, Madam. Please continue.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So ideally, ma'am should speak first before me. And we are very happy and delighted that today on this platform, International Conference platform, we got this opportunity to associate with Waghmare brothers. The whole effort was done by our librarian, Dr. Rupa Gokhale ma'am, and her associate, that is Dr. Himanshu Agrawal. And both of them have taken a lot of pain to organize this with the Waghmare sir. And I know that as sir has mentioned that this conference has got a number of papers, which is more than 200. So this is an achievement for us also as a college. And for that, I really congratulate all the people who have worked hard for this conference. RD National College is a college which is having a strength of around 7,000 students with multi-faculty institution, which is having art, science, commerce, and all the other professional courses. And whenever I welcome all the participants in this conference, and we welcome all of you, and any type of service we can do as an education institute, we are always here to help everyone. And with this note, I would like that my principal ma'am, that is Dr. Neha Jagtiani, should speak a few words for all of you. So we will play her video first, and then we will continue. Waghmare sir.
Thank you, madam.
The voice is not clear.
Is this voice clear?
Sir, voice is not coming.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, sir, no issues. We
Okay,
have
okay.
Dr. Anand Shetty with us, or librarian committee convener. So I think sir can actually focus more on this conference.
No.
So I invite Anand Shetty sir, which is the convener of library committee of our college. So I welcome Anand Shetty sir. He is the head of chemistry department, and as well as he is a passionate teacher as well, who always motivates students for reading books And since it is a conference which is arranged by the library, so he is the most apt person to deliver a small talk for the conference. Anand Shetty, sir.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
I'm
sir.
audible. Good morning. It is
Good
a
morning,
great.
sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Good
everybody.
morning, sir.
Okay.
Good morning.
I see
Morning,
the
sir.
excitement on a Sunday morning. So, welcome everybody for this one-day training on digitization and reading. I'm Anand Shetty, sir, here. I'm the head of chemistry department, teaching for 30 plus years, and postgraduate from IIT Mumbai. And for more than 25 years, I've been on a big mission on how India can be a superpower. And how was it possible is only by empowering the youngsters to read books outside their curriculum, and even on personal development and skill development, which are available outside. So to launch this full day training, I only was to give one strong message, that is, all our education is just a magnifier of our self-awareness. So as faculties, we will have to create that awareness in the students. That is, first you need to work on your personal development and self-awareness and become aware where you want to go in life. All right. And we are at a very tipping point as far as the economy is concerned. Next 2 to 3 years, with the 5G data coming in, automation will be at a rampage. And this is what I've been sharing with not only with the academic circles, but even with the industries. As a chemistry professor, I am in touch with lots of industries, whether it is pharma, oil, energy. So I can see next 2 to 3 years, automation coming in a big way and downsizing of the jobs taking place. So we academicians will have to become innovative and create awareness in the youngsters. So as I always say, never let what you have to say as a teacher be so important that you miss what your students really, really need to hear in this golden digital entrepreneurial age worldwide post-lockdown. So here we have to create a strong message for our youngsters, because ultimately we teachers are everything because of the students in our colleges. So the strong message is they have to become aware of what they are staring at. And they are staring at a global jobless gig economy worldwide. And I am in touch with the Niti Aayog people. Niti Aayog CEO, Mr. Amitabh Kant, was the CEO for more than 5 years. Now Mr. Parmeshwaran is the CEO. And this Niti Aayog people, which is reporting directly to the Prime Minister's office, and which is responsible for the skill development of the youngsters all over India. Let me tell you, India is the only country in the world with more than 700 million plus youngsters below the age of 35. No country has got this demographic dividend. But our biggest challenge is 80% of our graduates are unemployable because of lack of skills. And the number one skill which students need to develop to succeed in this digital age is the reading skill. The top CEOs of every Fortune 500 companies read at least 4 to 5 books per month. That is nearly 60 books per year. And that is what I tell my youngsters. An average employee not even reads one book in his lifetime, and 80% don't even finish the first chapter. So let this full day event be with that strong message to the coming generations. That is, we need to empower yourself in reading skills, which will be very, very critical. All right. So to as a closing message, I always say the teacher who fails to instill in the child, the student, the divine desire to read, not only fails the student, but also fails God. So we are on a big divine mission as teachers to empower the next generation. So wish all everybody all the best. And if any faculties want to connect with me directly, my mobile number is there with Rupa madam and Mona madam. And I am
I will share, sir. I will share.
I will, you can share my mobile number in the chat
Yes.
so that people can get direct access to me on my WhatsApp. And since I'm sharing some cutting edge information, they can get full benefit out of it. Okay. So wish all everybody all the best for this program. God bless. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to hand over this session, Dr. Rupa Gokhale Shahade. Is this available, Dr. Rupa Gokhale Shahade?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Ma'am, please continue.
Thank you very much to principal, then all my vice principals, IQC coordinator, Dr. Mona Kejriwal, then Mr. Anand Shetty, who is the library committee chairperson, Dinesh Himmat Singhani, who is also IQC coordinator, and other library committee members. And great welcome to all the participants who have participated in this one-day international conference. And unfortunately, our principal, Madam Dr. Neha Jagtiani, could not come online because she has got some other commitment. And her video she was sent to the sponsor, that is Dr. Waghmare, but unfortunately there is some technical error, so we could not play her video also. But I once again welcome all of you. Mr. Waghmare, especially thanks to you, because you have got good experience of conducting seminar at state level, national level, as well as international level. And at my one request, you gave your full support and you managed to advertise the same abroad. So it is, I mean, several countries are watching this video simultaneously. Two international papers are also available in our conference. So it is a great pride for our college, but without support of principal and the IQSC committee, library committee, this would not have been possible. They showed faith on me and they told me to proceed further and do something good for college. So this is all the, I mean, encouragement and full support of entire my trustee and National College teaching, non-teaching staff. This is a very good platform for a new researcher as well as established researcher to present their paper on this international platform. This helps to upgrade their knowledge as well as to present the knowledge which they have gained through research. And it is very authentic platform and very good opportunity given to us by Dr. Waghmare. So once again, thanks to SHRI Waghmare Brothers Event Management Company and Dr. Kishore Waghmare personally also, and on behalf of institution, because you took large efforts to make this international conference successful. Thanks a lot, sir. It's over to you, sir, again.
Thank you, madam. Actually, this is our event management central government approved company. Therefore, we do some different type of the work. We do some original work. Therefore, whatever we do, we having that confidence level at international level. Thank you, madam. The next resource person, is this available, Dr. Abhijit Kedkar, sir?
Yes, I'm available, Kishorji.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, आपला video on करता का जरा?
Yeah, surely. Hi, good morning.
Respected, good morning, sir. Respected Kedkar, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I would like to hand over this session for the next keynote address, respected Dr. Abhijit Kedkar, sir. Please continue with the permission of Mona, madam. Mona, madam.
Yes, sir. Sure. Namaste, sir.
Namaste, madam. Good morning.
Sir, please continue.
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much, Kishorji. At the outset only, I would like to thank SHRI Waghmare Brothers for inviting me, and RD College as well for inviting me for this keynote address. And basically the topic on which I'm just going to say a few things belongs to recent R&D in the education. Okay, so R&D is a very open-ended and a little bit vague concept in which we are talking about research and development, but research and development in the educational sector or in academics in the context of recent trends, what new is happening, how it is happening, how the people are responding to it from the learner side as well as from the teaching fraternities side, along with the stakeholders also. These are all the things which I'm just going to cover, along with a few research related things as well. In the beginning, let me just welcome all of them who are participants to this conference. Some of you could be the faculty members, some of you could be the PhD pursuing candidates, some of you could be neither faculty members nor PhD pursuing, but would like to pursue in the future, and so on and so forth. So what the changing trends are talking about, what exactly are the prerequisites for such kind of things, that is what I'm going to just throw some light. Some of the things which I'm talking about, maybe you might have a feel that are these things applicable to us, especially in the Indian context? Perhaps not. But the thing is, please keep it in mind, India is also changing its entire structure, its entire, I would say, entire schema or pattern of the academics in a drastic way. So earlier it used to be the case that something which was happening in Europe and America used to get operational in India, maybe perhaps 10 years or 15 years after that, it got operationalized in Europe and America. But nowadays the trend is changed. India has got a rapid pace of development, especially in academics as well. Obviously, some of the measures which we are applying in our academics are debatable. There is a debatable issue, because the pace with which we are going, suddenly we are making the changes. Are these changes good or bad? That is something obviously subject to interpretation. But in a nutshell, I would see that whatever you find that is not applicable to us currently will be applicable to Indian colleges or academic scenario in a very much short span of time from now. And that's the reason why some of the things which you might get disconnected with, okay, how come this is going to be applicable to us? But definitely it is going to be applicable to us. And that is what my attempt is, to just make you aware of this, because I remain to be in industry as well as in academics. Now I'm an industry turned academician, and my Gulf experience has given me a good vision, in spite of when I compare it, when I relate it with the Indian context, not much difference I find, only difference in terms of the scale, only difference in terms of little bit of the advanced factors or advancement of the technology, infrastructure, approaches, strategic management, and so on and so forth. Only in the context of academics, what exactly is the R&D, what exactly is the recent trend going on, how we should get acclimatized to that recent trend, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to throw some light on that. So I have got some PPT presentation which I'm going to share with all of you. So once again, I welcome everybody, and let us begin this journey. Perhaps rather than giving you a knowledge, because giving a knowledge or imparting a knowledge is a very big word in the real context. In my PPT also I have said in the last that, are we wise enough? That is what we are going to, decide. So perhaps rather than imparting of the knowledge, I would say I will just share my experience and observations with you, with which I hope somebody will get some real value addition out of that, rather than saying that I will give some knowledge. So let us begin this PPT. I think I have... Yeah, Waghmare ji, can I just request you to give me the permission for sharing the screen?
Yes, sir. Please wait.
Yeah, please.
Sir, please continue.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Visible. Okay. Okay. So this is just a brief these things about me. Currently I'm in University of Fujairah, working as an associate professor and in charge of the student coordination department. And as I said, I am an industry turned academician. Let us begin with the journey as such. See, this is something, the overall scenario when we enter into the world of research, or perhaps forget about research, the world of academics as such. Some of us are fresh academicians, some of us are experienced academicians, some of us are in the middle age or something like that sort of. But whenever we turn ourselves, or whenever we get ourselves into the role of being an academician as such, we have this jigsaw puzzle within our brain itself, which we have to solve. There are many things, there are many questions, there are many queries, there are many issues, there are many observations, there are many pre-notions which we have. Yeah, somebody mute themselves, please. Yeah, am I audible now? Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Please continue.
So you have to have that jigsaw puzzle, where to fit in. And that is what, because there are many things which we have to unlearn for learning something new. This is the need of an hour. There are many things which we have to unlearn, because we always go with some preconceived notion, with some prejudiced mind, that these are the things which have to happen in this way only. But when we see the things differently happening, or getting 180-degree turnaround, then it becomes a very difficult issue for us to absorb that, to get accustomed to such kind of things. And that's the reason why the first and the foremost thing which I would like to request everybody is, you have to be ready. You have to keep yourself ready for unlearning many things to learn something new when it comes to academics, because the trends, the patterns, the structure of academics has been changing drastically. And especially after the COVID, there has been a lot of change in the academics at the national as well as international level. So remember a few things before the research procedure starts. In general, I'm talking about, thereafter I will go to the recent patterns or trends. Connect with the practical oriented approach always. Only problems description not expected, problems solutions prescription is often expected. Rather than positive approach, normative approach is also expected. Rather than saying the things as the things they are, you are supposed to say the things as they ought to be, because nobody is interested in listening to you as a teacher. What you say is right, because nowadays there is an era, wherein our stakeholders are going to challenge us every now and then. Gone are the days when teacher used to say, and that was the final verdict. That was the statement, but this is not the case today. All of you will agree with me. There are students at times who are going to challenge us only. They will see something, they will check something on the net, they will Google it out, they will find out something and try to check our knowledge only. So that much, to that extent, students are, I would say, proactive, enthusiastic, arrogant, or whatever terminology you would like to use as per your own choice. But in a nutshell, not only the positive approach, normative approach, as the things ought to be also, you're supposed to be ready. Then mapped outcomes of research with the overall industry and sector. Please try to understand, unless and until it is sponsored by some industry, it has got no meaning out of it. Because gone are the days, especially before COVID, people used to have research as a tick mark, as a compliance, that I am doing some research on some particular topic. I have got my quantum of the research, volume of the research used to play a good role. But now the quality of the research, the industry sponsored research, industry associated research, industry collaborative research, all these things have got a long role to play and a crucial role to play, especially in the cost conscious world of today, after the COVID. So mapped outcomes of research, each and every outcome of your research has to be in one way or the other way mapped with overall industry or sector or some requirements. Old wine in the new bottle, gone are the days. People used to have one chapter only and having 2-3 research papers, extending a little bit. Nowadays, you are supposed to develop 2-3 research papers from one concept, but they should be different. They should be, percentage of somewhat, there is, even if there is no such law connected with it, more or less it is being said that your one research paper should be different than the other research paper if the concept is same, if the basis or foundation is same. Minimum 60 to 65% it should be different. 30%, 25 to 30% is somewhat a tolerance limit. So old wine in new bottle, gone are the days. We should be careful enough. Creativity and innovativeness, no more crucial, but major prerequisites for acceptability of the research. So only creativity and as I said, the creativity or innovativeness, marketability were used to be the important things, but now they are no more crucial, but the major prerequisites. Yani without creativity and innovativeness, your research paper has got a less acceptability from the industry. Please try to understand, industry is wise enough. We as academicians keep on trying to change or set the patterns for the industry, but industry will never get into it unless and until they themselves get convinced. And that is the research why that is the reason why when you approach any industry, that I have done some research and it would be very much useful to you, they are not going to believe you merely because you say. They themselves will have some brainstorming, they will have some good amount of discussion on that, and thereafter out of your expectation maybe 10 to 15% they will provide you the grant. This is what the scenario overall when you have industry sponsored research. So creativity and innovativeness, a prerequisite now, not only important things or crucial things, major prerequisites. Now coming back to R&D in education, in generic terms I will talk about, and then we will go to the specific things which are applicable to particular sector or continent or country and so on. Education industry also has got a drastic change, especially in last 2.5 years, right from the salaries getting paid at 40% or 30% of our total, and in the field of in the environment of that uncertainty which we have been surviving. All of you will agree with me, not only in India, believe me, in Europe and America as well, even in Gulf countries as well, there was a problem in salary payment, especially for the academicians, when the college and universities and schools had got a very tough time. So especially we can say that pre-COVID there was a different scenario. During COVID it got formalized in some or the other way, and post-COVID it is now the trend which is being observed nowadays. Smart teaching, it's a need of an hour. Gone are the days when we used to have more and more amount of teaching. So now not number of hours, what you teach is more important than how much you teach. For how long you teach, how much time you teach, how long you teach is not only important. The driver's seat or the pilot seat is being taken by what you teach, how it is going to increase the employability of the student, how it is going to increase the overall knowledge scale of the student. Generally, it is being said that degrees will take you to the interview room, but what will give you the job is your knowledge, which you have absorbed over a period of time. Because I have seen many a times, because when I was in industry, I have interviewed the people, and when our candidates get interviewed, I often ask them, once they finish their interviews, basically students go with much approach. I have got this certificate, I stood first, my CGPA is this, that, I stood first, I am a university ranker, this, that. Industry will clap for that. Oh, very good, very nice. Now keep aside that file in which all your certificates and mark sheets are there, and just answer my questions. And basically the offer letter will be prepared not on the basis of your mark sheet, but it will be prepared on what you say in response to my question. That is what the fact is. And that's why smart teaching is very much required. It is the need of an hour. People, universities or colleges all over the world are insisting that teachers should be well equipped with all the approaches from 360-degree angle. The facet should be inclusive. If you are a PhD holder, you are a master's degree holder. Obviously, when you are a master's degree holder, then only you can have PhD. But you are a master's degree holder, PhD, this much years experience, dynamic, self-motivated, go-getter approach, these, that, all good things we write in our CVs. But what they judge, what they take from us is perhaps our teaching philosophy, our thought process, our SWOT analysis for ourselves. How you go to the student's level, how you will make convenient to the student, because student remains to be one of our crucial stakeholders. Because of them only our existence is there. It might sound a little harsh, but it is the reality. So we have to accept that smart teaching is a need of an hour. So how smart, how innovatively, how much unique way you are teaching is going to be your, I would say, plus factor in your career as well as overall teaching pattern as such. Smart learning, obviously students are smart enough, everybody is equipped with Wi-Fi, Google, and nowadays many online database, secondary database exploration based studies, some assignments are being given. It's a part and parcel of our CIE, continuous internal evaluation. Gone are the days when quiz 1, quiz 2, midterm, final. These are all gone now. Quiz 1 and midterm and final could be there, but in addition to that, there are so many case studies, case slates, situation-based analysis, simulation-based exercises, shadowing, sabbatical, many things are there which are a part and parcel of learning. So smart learning. business models. Try to understand, even though we deny teaching is a noble cause, teaching is a social service, we don't teach for the sake of money. Ultimately, please try to understand, we have to accept that each and every organization, HEI, that is higher educational institute, whether sponsored by the government or non-sponsored by the government, private, semi-private, semi-government or government, nowadays they take it as a business model. Even though to earn the profit doesn't remain to be their main motive, it is considered to be the business model. And business model is viable to the tune of, to the extent you are getting your revenue, expected revenue, and the wheels are rolling. Nobody is going to roll the wheels on their own, irrespective of the revenues which they are earning, only because education is a noble cause, or providing of the education is a service to the mankind or something like it. It looks good on paper, but when it comes to financial aspects as such, yes, education sector has also got some corporatization in terms of the context of making it as a model. Industry looks at each and every venture as a model. I have got one friend here who is working as a marketing manager in one of the steel, fabrication and steel industry. The company is very big group in here, United Arab Emirates. He is there for last 20 years in the same field. He keeps on telling me that the industry has been changing. The way in which they were dealing with their suppliers 10 years back, forget about 10 years, 5 years back, what they were dealing with, they are not dealing now. The suppliers are changing, their mindsets are changing, the company deal sets are changing, mindsets are changing, everything is profitability driven, everything is revenue driven, and that's my model. Each and every venture, he often tells me when he approaches to his boss with any new scheme, boss, this is something which comes to my mind. Is it good or bad? Boss always asks simple question, what lies in it for us in terms of money? Even though I won't say education field is subject to 100% corporatization, it has got element of corporatization, and it is one of the new research, I would say, on which you can do some research also. Corporatization is available in academic sector also. And to be very honest, if you ask me, I am personally of the opinion that there is nothing wrong in it, because if you want to survive for a long period of time in the market, you have to have everything subject to ROI, return on investment concept. Sustainability, very important thing. Just now I was explaining the same thing. Anything which is viable, anything which is feasible need not be sustainable. And nowadays, what is sustainable, what can sustain for a long period of time, is going to give you a good return. And that is the reason why everybody, every educational institution, right from the Stanford University, let me give you an example of, comparative advantage or competitive advantage more appropriately. You all know Stanford University, which is very famous for the technical education, and Wharton University, Wharton School of Business, is one of the prestigious schools, all over the world, and even HBS, Harvard Business School. Now, Harvard and Wharton do have their competitive strategy put in a different way. All of them have, both these universities have gone all over the world. They have got MOUs, they have got everything. You want to online course, we will provide a certificate. You need certification courses, we will do that. You need in association with us, yani 1 year they will study at your campus, the remaining 2 years you will send our students to our campus. In all way, they are okay with the marketability of their teaching stuff, their marketing stuff. Stanford has got different thing. Stanford never got collaborated with anybody. If you want to learn with us, if you want to be our student, you go for our exam, crack that, be there in the toppers, be our cream, and then only get the entry. Come here, come in this country only, be our resident student, complete it, and then only go. Khalas. Yeah, at the end of the day, what I mean to say is, this is the sustainability models of the universities. Somebody would like to go all over the world to get associated, to increase the chances or probability of being known to the world at large, or getting more and more sources of revenue. Whereas Stanford is more keen on maintaining their brand image. That's it. Now, who is correct or who is wrong is not a question here. These are the two different approaches, but the fact remains to be the sustainability. Please try to understand. Sustainable development. Without sustainability, you cannot have sustainable development. And the organization or the institution or HEI, higher educational institution, which has got sustainable development only, can create its own brand. Believe me, there is one very shocking result which recently I came across with. That paper is also available on HBS paper is there, a research paper. They say, according to the I would say research made by them, almost 20 to 25% of the educational institutions get closed within 5 years span of time from the opening of those educational institutions. Now, they have not really mentioned which kind of education, they are the B schools or technical schools or higher level secondary or whatever it may be, but educational institutions as such. But this itself is a shocking thing. If at all you are opening something and within 5 years span of time, the time has come for you to close that, it's really an alarming stage because of the sustainable development model. So you have to have business model, corporatization, sustainability, sustainable development. Don't go behind the profit as such, but yes, profit making, or at least BEP, achieve the BEP, break-even point at the earliest. That approach has to be maintained, and rather is maintained by all the leading universities and B schools. Time and cost aspect, yes, everything is time bound now. Gone are the days when we used to have typical approaches, especially in our case, in Indian context, if we talk about typical, we used to call it as a government schemes, which are going on, chalta rahega, dekhenge, karenge has got no value in the world nowadays. They need to have instant and immediate and updated minute-to-minute updation of whatever you are doing, how you are doing, and all these things. And that is what is required. We have to run with the time. That is also one of the recent trends. Competitive advantage, I have talked about it. Hybrid approach of online and offline learning. People took at it at the COVID that this MS Teams or Google Meet or perhaps this Zoom or many are there video apps through which the teaching and learning was going on, because at that time it was by force. People couldn't gather at one point of one place together because of this COVID issue. But after that, now it has become a trend that in many cases it's a hybrid approach. There are many universities in which 50% is offline in a week and 50% is online, and they say that it has increased the efficiency level of teachers as well as students. Now, whether it has really done or not, whether it is really good or bad, as I said, I'm not going to comment on that. But my point is, there is a hybrid approach of online and offline learning nowadays. Exclusively online universities, no more extraordinary feature. In Dubai itself, there are 2 universities which are exclusively online universities. You don't have to even visit the university. There are students who have graduated from the university who have never seen the university. Even certificate is also issued online only. That's it. If at all you want to get the hard copy of that, perhaps contact them. They will send it by post. You need not visit throughout your tenure. Not a single time you have to visit any university. Such kind of approach is also there, which has saved a lot of time, cost, of all the, everybody has got its pros and cons. I won't say this is exclusively online is good or exclusively offline is good or hybrid is good. It is subject to the interpretation on case-to-case basis. Distance learning and blended learning getting acceptability from the industry. This is also one of the important trends which we have currently, because earlier industry used to say that if you have got the degree, online degree, then we don't count that much. But nowadays, as I said, industry is more thinking about your competence, your knowledge, rather than from which institute you passed, how many marks you got, and all these things. Obviously, by saying so, on the other hand of the on the other side of the coin, I don't want to say that marks are not important, grades are not important, CGPA is not important. Obviously, they are important, but what industry is looking at is your knowledge level, your competence level, how you adapt to the changing circumstances, how you apply your learned concepts and theories into the practical, complex, difficult world. Because when we are in the college, we often have very much difficult, difficult level to a certain extent only. But when we go to the industry, obviously it's altogether different field, and that's the reason why industry takes care of these things rather than, and that's why distance learning and blended learning enabled education is also recognized by the industry. So this is a symbolic picture. Now, having known all such kind of things, you have to ensure that the target is hit properly. Otherwise, the arrows will be missed, the arrows will be wasted, opportunities will be wasted, and all of us know opportunity lost is opportunity cost. So how to hit the target correctly? Just to have R&D in education in a particular at a glance. Smart boards, it is a need of an hour, and it is a feature of our many Indian universities as well. But there are many Indian universities who do have even whiteboards and permanent whiteboard markers. So whiteboard and markers are also outdated nowadays. It's a smart board. No, nothing. We have got in our university, or not only my university, everywhere here, the separate, smart board enabled pen is there. And I can erase just merely by hand because all the smart boards are there. So no duster is required, no markers, nothing like that. Everything is subject to just like the roll concept got just vanished in a fraction of a second. Kodak rolls are no more in picture after the digital cameras got introduced. Similarly, this blackboard, whiteboard, markers, chalks, everything will get outdated. Many parts of the world, they have gone, especially. Smart board is a need of an hour. Flipped classrooms, yes. Examination is given online. Assessment is done by students themselves. System itself is doing the assessment, or there is some pre-reading material. You can attempt for the examination while you are at home. The examination pattern is being given, online quizzes, online assignments, Turnitin based plagiarism checked assignments. Everything is possible with this flipped classroom. Authors classes is also one of the trends. Nowadays, the trend is those authors who have authored a book, they will come up with their own PPTs, they will come up with their own notes in Word format, they will come up with their own questions and answers, and they will come up with their own video sessions as well. Many of the authors who are associated with Tata McGraw or Pearson, in Indian context I'm talking, or maybe at Lineage or French Press, Oxford, Cambridge, many authors are associated with them, and authors can be invited. It is very thrilling experience when you call the author of the textbook, whose textbook you are prescribing for your students. And one particular session is being taken by that author. Students also get thrilled. You also get, as an academician, thrilled. And forget about the thrilling only. The main aspect is he or she is the mother of that, or mother or father of that book. So rather than him or her, nobody can explain what he or she means to say or explain in the best context. Obviously, that entire course cannot be taught by the author, but authors' classes are being available online or on chargeable basis also. There are some CDs available along with the books also. E-books are also available. Self-study, gone are the days when we used to cover 100% of the syllabus. Nowadays, self-study is a need of an hour, and this is not to reduce our teaching workload. This is not to reduce our time schedule. This is not to reduce our burden of teaching, but this is to inculcate the habit amongst the students community to learn something on their own. Just throw them in the water, let them swim on their own. We will ensure that nobody drowns into the water. That's the only thing which we have to do. So self-study is that there are some topics which are commonly given. Maybe at times the scale or the level of those topics which you are giving for the self-study could be simple, but self-study topics must be given nowadays in the context of the students' enhancement. Just throw them. These are the topics which I am not going to teach in the classroom. But definitely the questions will be there in the examination on this topic. See to it that you Google it out, you only gather your material, or perhaps you can study from the textbook or PPTs which I have provided to you, but this will not be covered in the class. Some kind of such thing is a recent trend or R&D, I would say. 30-70 ratio for talking and discussions respectively. Most of our age-old or traditional teaching techniques are like discourse, जिसको हम लोग सत्संग बोलते हैं. हमारे बहुत सारे टीचिंग के सेशंस अब तक के सत्संग रहे हैं, यानी कि मैं बोलूंगा एज अ टीचर, पूरा 1 घंटा बात ही करता रहूंगा, आगे वाले हाँ बोलते रहेंगे at the end of the day. But nowadays it's not the case, especially in US universities. They especially tell them in their delivery plan. Here also there are many. American University of Dubai is there, American University of Sharjah there. Most of them have got in their session plans invariably one aspect, 30-70 ratio. Yani out of 1 hour, only 30% you will talk actually, and 70% will be in the form of some debate, some discussion, some interaction, some assignment, some exercise, some activity given to them, and that is how they are supposed to learn, rather than you and me talking entirely, and at the end of the day they could not be absorbing anything. Recordings in advance, auditors, audience later on. This is also one of the important R&D. Nowadays, people have got no time, perhaps because of the less manpower, because of the cost reduction schemes. At times, it is the possible case that I have a sessions in a row, but I'm a human being. So obviously, I cannot teach for continuously 4.5 hours, not possible. Or if the session is of 1 hour, continuously for 3 hours to speak is not a, we can speak for the sake of, but how much will be the effectiveness? How much will be the final output or outcome of that? Perhaps the graph will be like diminishing marginal utility. So recordings in advance, you record your sessions and put that in your actual session time, and let the students go through that video which you have recorded in the earlier part of the day, or perhaps yesterday or the day before yesterday, or in the last week, and then just let them ask the queries. That way your energy is also saved, your time is also saved, and perhaps you can say there is a convenience. For students also, there is a little interesting approach when you are recording the sessions. Simulation based teaching learning, no more a novel thing. Earlier simulation room used to be we have got simulation room, that was a talk of the town, but nowadays every small university also has got simulation based teaching and learning. It's just like, you know, immersive learning, wherein physically not having in that environment, but you create that environment in which you start thinking that you are in that environment. So simulation based, if at all I'm teaching security analysis and portfolio management, then perhaps rather than giving them only something which is written in Khan and Jain, or M.Y. Khan and only M.Y. Khan's book of SAPM, rather than that, I would be giving them some dummy website to trade, to have some corpus. Open your dummy demat, dummy trading, dummy profit, dummy parking, dummy investment selling, dummy intraday trade. Everything is available nowadays. So simulation based teaching learning, we don't have to teach only theoretically, but make them understand the theory, how it is applied in practice, and make them let them do that thing actually. William Greener, Henry Leland, not publicly known, whereas Edison everywhere a center of discussion. Perhaps I'm 100% sure William Greener and Henry Leland are the names which most of us are not knowing. Even I also didn't know that. When I Googled them, I came to know. Basically, they are the ones who invented electricity before Edison. You will not believe, but Google it out. William Greener, Henry Leland, there are, believe me, more than 15 persons were there who had invented electricity before Thomas Alva Edison. But the credit goes to Thomas Alva Edison because Edison was not only creative, but he was innovative. He knew how to market his talent. Edison was the one who went to New York municipality in those times and gave them an idea that I can put the bulbs on the streets, and why don't you enter an agreement, enter into a contract with me? And Edison's company and New York municipality got into a joint venture whereby one street Edison put the bulbs and the municipality got a miracle. Oh my God, nowadays the candles are not required, but the electricity is doing. So Edison was marketing himself. Edison got the patent registered in his name in 1880 for that electric bulb. Immediately he got the center of attraction, and we all know Thomas Alva Edison means electricity. I don't want to take away credit of Edison. I don't want to challenge any of his brilliance or competence. In no doubt, undoubtedly, he was a genius. We have to accept that. But before Edison, there were many who had invented electricity or the concept of giving a light artificially. But they are no more in the picture. The day how you are innovative, how you are unique, how you are different, and last but not the least, how you are marketing yourself is a need of an hour. And the same applies to the education industry also. That's what I have said. Marketing based approaches. Technologically upgraded, a high level of classroom interactions are there. Auditoriums enabled now in our university only. Auditorium is enabled with a separate monitor, mics connected with each and every chair. So there is a folded monitor there. You have to get that monitor, get the screen, type something, it will be visible not only on the main screen, it will be visible with the main monitor, master monitor, we call it, with the teacher. So these are the mics, everything is there, rather than me talking, not understanding. Everybody has got earphones, mics and everything. Now, here somebody might say that, oh my God, this is something about European and American universities or maybe Gulf countries, because they have got a lot of money to spend on this infrastructure. Here, our salary ke problems hai, aur aap baat kar rahe hain auditorium ki enabled and all these things. But please try to understand, we should be aware of this trend. Perhaps our institutions might have that trend at a later stage, but one or the other day, we are going to have that well-equipped infrastructure, because finance is not the only constraint we have. Competence, readiness are also the factors which are the main hurdles in adopting the new trends of educational sector. Industry associations and participations in teaching, smart research. I have talked about it in the beginning only. Soft skills training and inevitable. Nowadays, soft skills training in inevitable, you will feel surprised, but the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India, this CFA, Hyderabad, Chartered Financial Analyst, all these three professional institutes have got in their last semester, after they complete all the exams, separate hours, certification mandatory for the students for soft skills training, because there are so many things which are in the soft skills: your communication, time management, motivation, team building, planning, conflict management, delegation, leadership. So many things are there which you have to learn, because as an entrepreneur you must know the basic things. And that's why the soft skills training or soft skills related courses are inevitable part of nowadays teaching industry or academics, I would say. Case study is not the pretty much insisted tool of teaching or learning pedagogy. This is also one of the observations. Try to understand, case study approach was adopted, I won't say adopted, it was pioneered. It was founded by Harvard School of Business or Harvard Business School, HBS, as they know. HBS themselves discontinued with the case study approach over a period of time. But nowadays, they are having only for the caselets of situation-based analysis, but they also came to know that case studies cannot be in lieu of the normal teaching. Case studies can be in addition to the normal teaching in order to enhance the learning effectiveness, in order to enhance the interest level of the students. But case studies cannot be the whole and sole mode of teaching. That's what. But yes, case studies are not pretty much insisted tool, but they are a part and parcel of the teaching. Finish all that is served in platter, an old approach. Please try to understand one more approach we have to equip ourselves with. हमारे ट्रेडिशनल एजुकेशन सिस्टम में ऐसा है कि तुमको मैथ्स भी आना चाहिए, तुमको सर्ट्स, डेरिवेटिव्स, इंटीग्रेशन, कैलकुलस, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री, सब कुछ आना चाहिए, मैट्रिसेस, इंडेक्सेस, सब कुछ आना चाहिए. But now this US pattern of vocational based training or education is obviously getting a good grip all over the world. The person who is interested in carpentry will be knowing only the carpentry related skills. He need not learn anything which is not really commensurating with his future would-be career. So finish all that is served in the platter, not a necessary approach nowadays. Whatever you like, you finish it, be specialist in that, go ahead with that knowledge in depth, have the increased width and depth of that particular segment in which you are going to make your career, and be a specialist in that, rather than having learned all these things but master of nothing else. It is something which is getting drastically changed. So textbooks more or less becoming an outdated thing, at least in higher educational institutions. I'm talking about all over the world in general. If you are coming across any such institution, and if you say, obviously you are open to challenge my statement, I'm not making it as a generalized statement, but in general, an observation, more or less, the trend of textbook written as per the specific syllabus pattern of XYZ university is going now. Reference books are more preferred, because reference books are beyond the syllabus. Reference books are beyond the driven or defined set of boundaries of the knowledge. They are beyond the boundaries of the knowledge. In depth and width wise, they are just infinite, I would say. So good reference books I'm talking about. Almost 1,000 platforms for LMSs are available, learning management system, just like Moodle, or Me platform or Google platform. Many are there all over the world. More than 1,000 platforms are available in which all your examinations, attendance, consistent internal evaluation, patterns, rankings, grades, everything is possible. Or even uploading of the material, downloading of the material, your conduction of the classes, videos, and so on and so forth. Extensive use of social media, collaborative learning, chalks and blackboards slowly getting diminished. Try to understand. Social media is also part of these things nowadays. Twitter, Insta are formally used by many universities as communication tools. You will not believe that, but it is a need of an hour that typically emails and all these things are now getting replaced with social media. Many universities, many classes of MBA or rather B schools have got their social media groups. WhatsApp groups are very common. I will give the assignment on WhatsApp group. Now, WhatsApp used to be informal way of social media or communication, but nowadays it has turned out to be the formal way because of the convenience and because of the widespread acceptability. Data analytics, a crucial player. Everything is accepted now by in terms of data analytics. You have to have the analytics knowledge to a large extent. Gamification of concepts and topics. Yes, everywhere there are many concepts which are being taught by having some kind of, I would say, some kind of games or some kind of dramatization of the concepts in which the characters will be created and the senior students will be enacting in front of the junior students. One will become finance manager, one will become marketing manager, one will become HR, one will become IT. And that way, the functionalities or cross functionalities of the different organizational heads will be explained to them. Such kind of things are very common things nowadays. So gamification, dramatization, and enactment or such kind of concepts and topics. So now the final question in front of all of us, how to go ahead. There are many paths available, many paths, many requirements, many directions, many expectations. Which one to choose, how to go ahead about it. Now, research and development in education, accept a few realities, whether you like it or not. This is what I would like to mention. ROI concept too much stressed from both the ends, the teachers as well as students or their parents. So return on investment, everything is specifically, if I pay, what I will get, or if I have to get this, how much I have to pay, or if you give me, if I have to give you this, how much you will pay me. And from both the sides, I'm not blaming either of the sides. And perhaps this is not a question of blaming or crediting, but this is the question of accepting the fact that the ROI concept is too heavily, too stressed, in a stressed way, in a more focused way. ROI concept is applied now. Return on investment, everything is subject to return, no free of cost thing. Gurukul system concept, no more a practice in today's world, because especially in India, it is said to have a smell of racism. You know, Gurukul system, because in olden days, when Guru says in Mahabharata or in Ramayana time, or perhaps thereafter also, till the time Gurukul system was there, what Guru said was the final verdict. Nobody could challenge Guru. Nowadays, unfortunately, we all have divided ourselves into so much difficult or complex social systems in which Guru says something, that Guru's comment is dominated by a falana party, caste, creed, religion, racism, atrocity, this, that, many things are there. So Gurukul system is no more a practice nowadays. What Guru says is not final. What Guru says has to be proven by Guru, and then only students will accept that. So not merely because Guru is saying, students will not accept. This is how nowadays the trend is. All over the world, students are challenging, parents are challenging gurus like anything. We all are teachers. You all will agree with me how we are being challenged from minute to minute by our stakeholders, and we have to prove ourselves each and every time. So Gurukul system, in which Guru was whole and soul boss, is no more in the picture now, and we have to be ready with that. Everything is time bound and assessment oriented. Students are also asking to us that if I do this, what I will get? If I do this, what is this assessment? Is this I mean to say marks assessment or non-assessment based assignment? No, it is assessment based assignment. He will do it seriously, she will do it seriously. But if it is non-assessment based, obviously people are not more or less interested in that. It is non-assessment based only. Yani you can do it, water it down. But it is an assignment. You have to respect that assignment, because every assignment is going to give an opportunity to learn something. But that is not happening. But you and me, whether agree or not, it is the fact we have to accept. Rather than knowledge, temporary parking of data to delete information and increasing trend. Nobody wants to have the permanent knowledge. Eat before examination, vomit during the examination, but then our stomach is empty. Kind of concept is nowadays going on, which we have to, in a way, divert it into the old system of imparting a knowledge. So this is our responsibility as teachers to inculcate or to divert the entire mindset into getting the knowledge rather than getting the temporary information. Placement is an add-on or a la carte service and cannot be a main criterion or performance criterion. Is forgotten concept all over the world. Believe me, all European and American universities believe in this context that placement is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to impart the knowledge to you. To get the job is whole and soul your responsibility. This is how the trend is. However, in the competitive world, in order to get more and more students, placement record itself is a criterion for us to market ourselves, which is an unfortunate part, but yes, we have to accept it. Every university is doing that, but there are a few universities which have started doing that. Many American and European universities have been doing that since long time, but there are many other continent universities also who have started off late, even printing in their prospectus that placement is not our responsibility. They just guarantee that we will give you information and knowledge to such an extent that you will get employability automatically. But providing you a job is not our responsibility. Obviously, to get that time for all our universities, it will be a long time record. Placement track record and indicator of organizational performance, as I have just now told. Carrying of degrees responsibility no more on students' shoulders. It is a responsibility of the university also. Nowadays, it's a few realities which, as I said, the title itself is accept a few realities, whether you like it or not. Okay. And a vicious cycle of teaching learning. Last point. Thereafter, we will conclude within 5 minutes. Vicious cycle of teaching. Merely because my students are not getting interest in what I say, or they are not interested, or they are not that caliber. They are not of that level which I am talking about. They don't understand anything. So I don't have interest in teaching. I just do my job as a compliance or as a tick mark. And students say merely because teacher don't teach us nicely, we don't get more interest developed in our learning. Now this vicious cycle has to be broken somewhere else. So that attempt has to be done by all of us. And as a teacher, more onus lies on us. Similarly, when, how, who, why, where, and many more questions in front of all of us, especially in the teaching fraternity. These are the things which I have already spoken about, so I will just go ahead. Just one point I would like to express my concern over. Everybody is behind Scopus Index, the Scopus Index, the Scopus Index. Now, problem is, are all conferences, are all journals, are all magazines or seminars or workshops or proceedings without any use, without any glamour, without any, unfortunately the today's scenario, if you ask, yes, the situation is, if it is not Scopus indexed, the weightage or the glamour or the zeal which you get for your work is comparatively less. It's a sad part of the story, but yes, it remains. Obviously, when you have a Scopus indexed, definitely it is having more this thing, because Scopus indexed journals do not accept any Tom, Dick and Harry research. So they do have their certain quality standards, parameters, and then only they accept. But start your research with a very small kind of, book chapter or book review or kind of article, small things. And over a period of time, go to the Scopus index, but ultimately your strategy should be to enter into the region in which Scopus indexed publication should be there. Because unfortunately, whether you or me like or not, agree or not, it is one of the criteria which are considered for you and me to get assessed as a teacher. So this is it. This is the strategy, practical oriented. Strategy X, strategy Y, strategy Z. Strategy X talks about refinements and consistency in the refinements of your research. Strategy Y, it should be practical oriented. Don't come only with the creativity. It should be equipped, it should be supported by the industry's acceptability. That is the more important thing. And strategy Z talks about technologically sound and feasible. Nowadays, technologically sound teaching learning pedagogy is a need of an hour. Any output which you are generating has to have technologically upgraded things rather than merely something which is an age-old technique which you are using. So what makes your research good? Validity, reliability, replicability, rigor, consistent application, and trustworthiness. All these things perhaps you will come across in your typical research methodology technical sessions. Sustainable goals. This is I'll just go through this. Focus on real and not perceived importance. As I said, real importance comes to you only when industry accepts that. Only when there is somebody to sponsor, there is somebody to support, then only your research is proven to be having general acceptability rather than only the tick mark. Please try to understand. However, Scopus Index, sponsored research, and all these things will come at a latter part. Start with, as I said, very modest approach, very moderate level approach. Over a period of time, have the target of going to that particular level. This is how the research and knowledge journey. Where do we stand? We have to understand that as academicians, as researchers, where are we leading to? Where are we going to? And are we wise enough to shoulder the responsibilities which we have on our shoulders in the context of being teachers as well as being researchers? If we are able to ask these questions, the secret of success is not in doing your own work, but in recognizing the right person to do it. So get the things work done by somebody else. Doesn't mean you should not do anything, but you are just going to add some value to it, whereas the normal clerical approach will be handled by somebody else. So thank you very much, friends. I hope you will get something out of it, and happy researching. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Very outstanding as usual. Your lecture is very outstanding. As well as the informative, as well as every lecture, sir, I have just recognized that in every lecture, your point of view of research methodology and research and development activity and thinking of ideology and philosophy of your knowledge is getting some difference, sir. Outstanding knowledge, sir. Outstanding your lecture, sir. On behalf of the Internationl College, on behalf of the Waghmare brothers, I would like to thank you, sir, for outstanding knowledge, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to hand over this session to respected Dr. Janice Fernandez, madam. Janice Fernandez, madam, do you have available Janice Fernandez, madam?
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, madam.
Morning. I will support Kishore in saying Dr. Abhijit Kelkar's lecture is really outstanding. I make it a
Yours
point
is
to
also, madam. Thank you so much.
to not miss this. But let me at the onset thank Kishore and Waghmare brothers for the opportunity. And we have just been through something very interesting, very thought-provoking. And I think that has started the chain of thought. Let me just share my presentation and then we can begin.
Yes, madam. Please share. You are allowed to share, madam. Please share. PPT.
Okay, can you see my screen there?
Yeah, it is visible. Thank you. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. So just to introduce myself, my name is Dr. Janice Fernandez, and I am the academic support librarian or the subject librarian at the University of West London. It has been a very enjoyable, interesting experience for me, dealing with different facets of research on both sides of the table. And I think research is something that we constantly continue to do, no matter where we are or what aspect of it we go through. So as part of my role is supporting students through research, both the PhDs as well as the master's students. Another part of my research is also to create information through my own research. So I will be talking a little bit today about the research and development in the educational sectors, but I shall sort of explain a little bit more about what research actually entails, things like research methodology and a little bit of literature review. I'll just begin with the basic definition that we're all aware about of what research is. And there is this quote of Stephen Hawking that I really love. It's the joy of discovering something no one knew before. And I think each of us needs to hold on to this passion, needs to hold on to this aspect of when you begin your research. Just as Dr. Kelkar mentioned earlier, don't just correlate your research with a grade, with marks, with a certificate. All that is an important part, and it will definitely come to you. But don't miss that passion. Don't miss that joy of discovering something new. I'm just going to talk about the basic research cycle, as we are all aware of, the identification of a research problem. You would then review literature to find out what other people have done on this topic. You will probably then find a gap in the research that your own research will try and fill up. You might formulate a hypothesis and collect data through various methods of, say, maybe focus groups and interviews and observations and surveys. You would analyze that data using really good data analysis tools. You come to some sort of a conclusion when you interpret all of this collected data. And what's most important is that you would disseminate this data, this information, this new knowledge to other people. Let's just touch on the educational sector today. And I am, as a part of a university, looking at universities across the world and trying to find out where we are. Are we at the crossroads, or are we actually coming back full circle? We always had the focus on core subjects. And one of the issues that I face is not everyone is good in science or maths or a particular subject. However, it is very essential that you have to have like a GCSE in it. And a lot of students struggle with that. Careers focused on money-making sectors, do we just follow blindly certain subjects, certain courses, certain degrees which we know will bring back the money or the investment to us? The teaching learning process is unchanged. And I think I'm repeating a lot of your earlier sessions when we said we had the one teacher, 30 plus students, and the communication that went one way, and the feedback that we ignored. What's the aspect of the student interest and aptitude? What's more important than the interest is the aptitude. Can you do this? Are you designed to be a doctor, a scientist, an engineer? And how much of it actually is just rote learning? Just something to make you smile, but something to also make you think. Is this where we are, where we are going, where we've come from? Just to touch on some current educational issues, I think the pandemic has all given us a classic example of how we moved our teaching learning processes online. What was the engagement? It was a good time to actually think back and get some data and maybe do some research on what was the student engagement? Was it worthwhile? Did it help? If we had to do online teaching again, what would we change? What would we do better? With regard to examination, grading systems and intelligence testing, what are we testing? In our theory lectures, in our practical aspects, in a laboratory testing, what is it that we are testing? Are we testing intelligence? Are we testing memory? Is the curriculum too much, too little, too old, or too bold? As educators, how much of a say do we have in the curriculum? Does the curriculum reflect the modern society today? Does the curriculum reflect what we need students to know? One of the aspects of education, and I would always link it to health, physical health and mental well-being of the student. Does our education and education system take into account these aspects of mental well-being? Do we have some sort of system into place, some sort of checkpoints to realize whether the flow is smooth? Are we going against the tide? And in the background of all this, I'm going to stress on the need for research. So why do we do research? I'm going to make it very general when we say that research is an opportunity to gain more knowledge on an interesting topic. If you do not disseminate the results of research to society, then you are not completing that circle. And the reason for your research has to be for the general good, or for the more wider good. You learn valuable skills. In my own personal journey through my doctorate, I have found that things which I did not do so well before, I sort of strengthened on now through my research. So maybe analyzing, maybe decision making, communicating. You build a scientific thought process. Absolutely you do. Because when you are faced with a problem in any general situation, you would think scientifically, you would think logically, you would not rush to form a conclusion. That's what the research process has given you. And that, of course, is a base for lifelong learning. So even if you want to go to travel from point A to point B, you would still have a scientific thought process to understand what's a better mode of transport, what takes you quicker, what takes you cheaper, what is less walking, all those sort of things. Absolutely. That's what research does to you. I'm now coming on to integrating research and development into education, and just thinking of some general topics or general ideas. So feasibility studies. So is the curriculum, or is the mode of education, or is the content, is it feasible? Is it possible for everyone? Will it work? Do we use feedback and improvement, the data that we get from feedback? Do we link it to some sort of an improvement criteria? Out here, we are now, especially at the university I am in, we are stressing a lot on feedback. We have national surveys called the NSS survey, and we have module evaluation surveys at the end of every semester. And the data that comes from that feedback is very thoroughly and systematically analyzed. And we use the comments from students to form the basis of what we will change for the next semester. If that feedback does not move towards improvement, then the collection of data is not going to be of any use. Also, innovative ideas. We have a lot of brainstorming sessions. So you sit down together, throw some ideas and say, what can we do better, different, more engaging than the previous time. Planning for crisis. And like I said, online teaching was an amazing way in which both teachers and students moved to remote learning. There were some hurdles, but we got it going in the end. Have we thought about maybe other crises or other ways of making education more engaging? Inclusivity. Education must be inclusive to all. That's another concept which we very strongly believe in. And when I mean inclusive, I mean it must take everybody inside or encompass everybody, in the sense of what do you do for people who can't, like what you say as slow learners and maybe quick learners. How do you teach, or how do you learn in one general session? And of course, the scientific. thought process that you strengthen. So is our teaching learning just ticking on an answer? Something to think about. I now come to the research itself, the research process. And since most of our audience today are, I would say, research scholars in the process of selecting topics, or probably selected topics, or rethinking the selection of topics, I've just put a couple of topics in general areas. So for example, if you were a student of medicine, you probably, I walked into a hospital and I looked at a number of people undergoing dialysis, and this was the thought that I came across. Is there an alternative to this process? Can this be done in lesser time? Can this be done painlessly? Can this be done better? Is there a cure for cancer? Of course, we have different research being done about cancer, and cancer is something what you call the big C, and there are bits of it which we can suppress, but this is something worth reading about. Is there an option for a faulty gene? And I came across this when I saw something on YouTube about 5-year-old children who are overweight because of a faulty gene. That's something that's worth researching about, how that came about. How do we treat and create awareness of learning disabilities, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and ADHD? And in my career, I have come across and supported a number of students who go through these learning disabilities or learning difficulties, because they need to understand how to logically put concepts together, which is not easy for everyone. That's why our teaching process has to be inclusive to all. Just like I spoke about medicine, I took another example of engineering. And if you are following all the beautiful flowers on my PowerPoints, you would see that they speak about hybrid, or that's research in creating flowers which did not exist before. And that's exactly what research means, research. So we're searching again and creating something new. Things like sustainability, topics that we never knew about before. Things like harnessing energy from newer resources. Concepts like the drinking water is going to at some point get over on this earth. We're not going to have water. Things that we never thought about before. This sort of propels us into research to find out alternatives, better, cheaper, efficient, long-time alternatives. So before you start picking on any of those topics, you need to see what has been done about it. So say, for example, I was talking about, is there a cure for cancer? So I've just put it as a statement. So has anyone discovered a cure for cancer? Has anyone discovered a cure for some type of cancer? Let's read literature. Let's go and read Medline or Sinhal or any of the research journals to find out what people have done up to this point. And when you review the literature, this is a 6-step process of selecting a topic, defining your search terms, searching and finding and evaluating information, reading and understanding that, writing down your individual analysis, and then writing down the literature review. So use your reading in your writing. And as researchers, you are train yourself to constantly read. And when you read, analyze, assimilate, maybe make notes, and then use that in your writing. So I would say when you select your research topic, you select a general area of interest. I'm now coming down to the core bits of the research itself. So your topic should be interesting, current, manageable. You are talking to people, your colleagues, your mentors. You are doing a lot of brainstorming, observation. A lot of my research is actually based on observation. I sometimes walk around my 3-floor library and take a look at students, sometimes overhear some comments, and then base my research on what they feel about it. So it's basically feedback going into research. Write down all your ideas. Of course, otherwise it evaporates so quickly you don't even know. It's your own desire and interest that matters. And I say this to all of my students. At the end of the day, it is your passion. Ignite your passion. Because if you are not passionate about it, you will not go ahead in the sense of you will not enjoy your research and you will not build on it. I think research is a lot of building blocks. And sometimes I've seen students, the assignment or the essay that they wrote in their first year of university then builds on to become the topic for their PhD. Just because they liked it and they read more and they asked more questions and they sort of found that that was what they liked. So build on your research. Let these be like small building blocks, and reading will help to cement those blocks together. I always say that you research as an inverted triangle. So your broad subject area at the top and your research topic down, and try and find these layers that creates a relationship between your subject area and your research topic. I just have an example of how I guide music students, but you can always incorporate this for your own research and use this as an example. So start from a broad topic and then slowly narrow down. Where do you find information for? And we all know that books are a primary source of information. Today we have ebooks in equal amount or more than print books, easier to access. And what I like about ebooks is, I don't know how much you have all looked at them, but it's got a search inside this book option, which is amazing because it saves you the time. You just search for a concept or a word inside and it takes you directly to the book. That is my cat reading. And I always use that image to also show people that you need to take permission. So it is copyright. Some of your other information sources besides books, use DOAB, the Directory of Open Access Books, and DOAJ, the Directory of Open Access Journals. Google Scholar is a good resource, but as I will explain later on, Google Scholar is not a database in itself. It's more like an aggregator. So it collects from various places and just sort of shows it together. It's not linking it in terms of any standardized methods. It's more based on popularity. So you might have to sift through a lot of data before you actually get what you are looking out for. Much the same as internet. Databases are good, both the free databases and subscribed databases. And in your own institution, if you might not have access to some standard databases, it would be good to take a day off and go to one of the larger institutions which has access to a lot of databases, do some note taking and download some papers, and then you can come back and read them at your leisure. Also thesis, out here we have Ethos, which is the electronic thesis and dissertations of the British Library. And I think you have Shodh Ganga, which is the same collection of theses. Make it a point to read those, because when you do your research, if you find that someone else had already done that research, you were then reinventing the wheel. Also, that's not an acceptable explanation that I did not know that someone had done that research. Because basically, before you begin, you're supposed to ensure that nobody has done that research in that context before, or in that geographical location, or using those variables before, or using those elements, or in that using that research methodology before. Okay. And of course, there are specialist resources. I have seen policy documents from UNESCO, policy documents from government organizations. We have here the gov.uk. You would have a parallel database. And the policy documents are a good way to begin, because they have standardized procedures and policies about certain things, which might help you to go on. Of course, there are conference proceedings. There's also industry data. So market data, if you're doing financial aspect, or maybe social sciences, you would have some data about that. This is just a typical structure of a journal article, and to show you the various aspects. But I would suggest, when you read a journal article, you don't need to read the whole article. When you are starting a literature review, you are reviewing or reviewing again, or reading again what has already been written on the topic. Read the abstract, go towards the end of the journal article and look at the discussion and results. Then go back and look at the research methodology. Between your abstract and your discussions, you should be able to understand whether this journal article is in the domain of the knowledge that you are searching for. And that way you would save a lot of time. So that's one tip for you. Another tip: how to search inside journals. So sometimes when you are looked at a big database, like say ProQuest, we have ProQuest, we have EBSCO, we have JSTOR. These are large databases which contain hundreds of journals. Each journal contains hundreds of articles. What you would do is, if you put in a search term, you sometimes find a very logical, legitimate, and very related journal itself. Go inside that journal. So now you've sort of narrowed down. So then you don't need to look at the whole database. All you need to look at is this one journal, and then you can search inside the journal. Another tip to just save you time and to ensure that you have more focused searches and relevant results. A question that a lot of my students say is, there is nothing for my topic on the internet. I can't find any information. We don't have anything about this topic. I'll give you a tip. If you find one relevant journal article, and the search I was doing previously was on Stanislavski, who is into actor training. So if you found one relevant journal article, you would then go to the list of references at the end and read those related articles. So sometimes when people say, can I use Wikipedia? No, I definitely cannot use Wikipedia. I'm not even going to look at Wikipedia. My suggestion to them is, go and look at Wikipedia, because Wikipedia helps you to get keywords for your search. Wikipedia gives you names of people, then you can research those further. For example, if you were, say, looking for actors, musicians, scientists, doctors, engineers, and you didn't know who, Wikipedia would be a good point to start. If I was looking for, is there a cure for cancer? Wikipedia would explain to me what is cancer. Wikipedia will also tell me maybe who are the people who are working on this. And I can then use those names and then look for them as authors in maybe Google Scholar or Medline. So it can be a springboard, or it can be a starting point for you. That's another tip. Searching through citations. So as you know, Google Scholar is an aggregator, but Google Scholar is also a very good citation tracking database. So if you searched in Google Scholar and you found something which was very relevant, if you've looked at that cited by, it says cited by 407. That means 407 people have used this book in their own research. So the larger the number, it says that it's more authentic or more accurate or more widely used. And then if you click on that, you can then read the articles of those 407 people who have written. Now you know that all this information is in the same domain. So maybe if the topic was cancer, those cited by would also all be cancer. So that's how it would be linked. And then you can read that. So I'm sort of narrowing down now your search, but also making it easier for you to find information. How to find other sources? You use Google Scholar and you don't use Google. I'm sure you're all aware of it, but sometimes Google Scholar will also not give you very accurate and as much information. I would suggest if you have a good search engine in your library, start from that, because library search engines always link to authentic sources, whether they are subscribed sources or they are open access sources, they would be academic sources. So I think that's a good point to start from. So after all the searches you did, if you found, say, 50 good resources for your topic, whether they were books, whether they were journal articles, whether they were a thesis, whether there was a conference proceeding, how do you know that those sources are authentic? How do you know that whatever is written in that makes sense or is to be used? So here's a simple test. It's called the CRAAP, or the CRAP test. But if you Google the CRAP test, you will get very good examples and very good information about what the test is all about. So you look for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So when you are looking for information, is it too old? What's the timeline? If I was looking, say, at the progress of medicine in the last 10 years, any article that I had from the 1900s would not be relevant. On the other hand, if I was looking at the history of, say, museums in the world, I would have to look from 100 years. How relevant is it to the topic? What's the intended audience? Is it too simple? Is the information too basic, or is it too theoretical or too advanced? We sometimes come across journal articles which are very advanced or very theoretical with a lot of calculations, and then we sort of say that it might not suit our purpose. Authority. So who's the author? When I normally come across journal articles, I would like to know who's the author. I would separately maybe Google the name of the author and find out, is the author a professor at some university? Has he or she, have they written more journal articles, or have they written a book, or what's their standing in the academic field? How accurate is the information? Is there any evidence? Has it been verified by another source? And most importantly, is it biased or not? Today, we find that a lot of information, and we're talking about this fake news concept now, is biased, because it is biased towards an ideology, biased towards a concept, biased towards a methodology. So you might support or might not support the ways of global warming or climate change, or maybe extinction of dinosaurs. So you might be biased, or the author might be biased rather, and look and see, has this person always written articles against this concept? Am I only looking at one side of the story? Should I not get some other articles and look at the other side of the story as well? And what's the purpose? What's the purpose of this journal article? Is it to inform, or is it a marketing concept? Is Apple writing things against Sony, or is Sony writing things about Nokia? Is it to just sell their own products, or is it to give you more information about it? Is it to persuade you, or is it to entertain you? These are questions you need to constantly ask yourself as you are finding information. And then when you find relevant information, you need to evaluate it critically. So when I mean critically, it's not being critical. They're two different concepts. So being critical may be negative. Evaluating literature critically is being unbiased about it, looking at it, stepping back, and then looking at this article in the form of the author, the title, the concept, and whether it's relevant to your own research. And one of the most important things is, after you found all of this in your own research, whether it's a proposal or whether it's your research article for a journal, or whether it's your thesis or your dissertation, you need to write it in your own words. The number of students whose research comes back to me because Turnitin, like a plagiarism software, has found a very high percentage of plagiarism, is because people quote too large concepts, or with or without quotation marks, or the citation is incorrect, or the referencing is incorrect. All of these factors need to be taken into consideration. I do realize that not everyone is good in referencing. I wasn't either. But unfortunately, there are things that need to be done. And so that brings me to the final concept, that's referencing. It's something that we're sometimes not very happy with. I just took a couple of slides to sort of put it in a little better light, because I think referencing is an important concept, an important part of research, and the two R's always go together. So referencing basically consists of two parts: an in-text citation, inside the text citation, inside your paragraph, and an entry in the list of references at the end of your document. Now, I look at this as a name and address, a classic example, as a name and address. So say, for example, in the text, I said that Smith said that the sky was blue. And then I would put in the text, Smith, say 2015. In the list of references at the end of the document, I would explain more about this Smith. So this Smith is the one who wrote a book called Colors of the Sky, which was published by, say, Oxford University Press in London in 2015. And it's the third edition of the book. And that's the relationship, because in the citation, I give you the name, I just say Smith. But if you want to find more about the Smith, you go to the list of references at the end, and you would get like an address or more information about this Smith. So if you keep in mind this basic concept of referencing, it's not difficult. I've just put a few elements of a reference entry just for books. But if you follow any good referencing software, like say Cite Them Right Online or Cite It For Me or any of the other ones, they will explain to you more in detail the various concepts. But these are the basic concepts that would be necessary, would be required in any referencing. You would have an author, a year when it was published, the title, edition, place of publication, and the publisher. Of course, with the internet coming in, a lot of information is available online. So what's necessary is the DOI or the web link of available, where it is available, and the date that you accessed it. That's the basic information you need to know about any reference entry. Five essential tips for easy referencing. Leaving referencing, do not leave your referencing until the last minute. I have seen people struggling with this. Believe me, it's not easy, because at the end you can't remember what you saved that paper for in the first place. You can't remember which sentence you want to use. Sometimes you can't remember where you got it from. You might have got it from multiple sources. You might close your web page and then not know where it came from. And of course, using incorrect referencing style. I do have students ask me, how does the computer recognize that I put two dots at the end of the reference? And that's why it tags it off as unintentional plagiarism. It's because the system that we use, any anti-plagiarism software that you use, it's linked to a correct referencing methodology, like say a style, like say Harvard referencing or APA or MLA. So it's already there embedded in that plagiarism software. So the university tells the plagiarism software that our students are going to use this referencing style. And so if you do anything that's out of that, it's like a mismatch. And so it flags it off as plagiarism. A lot of times plagiarism is unintentional, but these are small tips that you need to remember as you do your stuff. Just a few pointers. We are now coming back to our initial slides where we talked about research in the educational sector. And me being a librarian, I'm trying to link it to my profession. I'm sure you can all link it to your own professions when you speak about things like change management. We are all aware of how much has been changing in the world today. And you know that information which is available may not be free. You might have to pay for it. And the information which is free might not be easily available to you because of various barriers of maybe connectivity or permissions or authentications or some of that stuff. New concepts coming in the market, digital literacy, collaboration. I was doing some really good research with the students talking about remote collaboration, new things which are come in the market because of the pandemic. To the base of all this, I have the user needs, which has top priority. And I always consider that the library and information is something that has been created and maintained for centuries. Even when people wrote on the walls of stone caves or on palm leaves, they preserved information for the future generation. What we are doing today with the internet is much the same, but we are preserving information. And when you do your own research, what you do is the new information that you create, you will then preserve for future generations. So it does come full circle in a way. So as we are aware of some challenges that you come across, you might have lack of direction, lack of time. You might think there's a bias with selection, or how do you evaluate and use resources. And of course, there's always the copyright issue. We need to take that into consideration as well. Along with some challenges, there are some good opportunities. And I will quote Google Scholar when you say standing on the shoulders of giants. So other people have done research. They have found cure for some part of some diseases, and they have made that information freely available to all. So others can start their research from that point onwards, so you don't create that knowledge all over again. You use the knowledge which has been created to create newer knowledge. And of course, that's a classic thing of how students might consider you to be great. But of course, you need to remember how you can now come back to re-engaging students, how you might come back to making students aware that knowledge is constantly in this process of being created. Dr. Kelkar did mention about games, gamification, and I am myself doing a lot of research on using this concept of games in teaching. But we also have various types of new research that has come about today, something like autoethnography, something like reflective practice. So out of our qualitative methods and quantitative methods and mixed methods of research, there's a lot of new methodology coming on, and it is good to read and see if those methods fit your type of research. I will end by saying thank you for giving me the opportunity to delve into the amazing world of research and to add value to the profession. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. As usual, your lecture is very outstanding, knowledgeable, informative. Thank you for behalf of SHRI Waghmare brothers as well as behalf of the RD National College, Mumbai, Bandra, Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next resource person is this available? Kinnari Thakkar, madam?
Yes, sir. I am
From
very
University
much
of
here.
Mumbai. Good morning,
Yes,
madam.
I am here. I am, sir. Good morning. Namaste. Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, madam. Janice, madam.
Good morning, ma'am. It's a pleasure to see you.
Always like ma'am. Same here.
Please continue, madam.
Yes. Okay, I'll start immediately, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, time very less. Very
okay.
high level of the participants are waiting for PPT.
Okay, I'll start immediately. So I will, so good morning to everyone. As sir said that we have limited time, I'll be focusing on certain important aspects. I had two different types of things to be, in fact, to be discussed with, research in higher education and etc. But I have divided the presentation into two different parts. One is to discuss about promoting research, the need for promoting research in higher education, especially when we talk about research in commerce. What do you understand? See, research in science is from ages. We have been witnessing that from ages, and we always had a belief in our subconscious mind at some point of the time that research generally is only related purely for science and technology. But over a period of time, we have been spreading a lot of awareness, and also we've been funding from the organizations like ICSSR that research in social science is of paramount importance, because especially in commerce as well, because everything what you come out with is also needs to be commercialized. Okay, and for commercializing also you can adopt different strategies. There are different ways in which you may commercialize your product. So there also stands the need and importance of the different types of modes in which you are promoting, the way you are projecting your new product which you have come across, the different platforms through which you can do. So all these has evolved as a research in commerce. So I will also in this presentation I will discuss about actually what do you mean and what you how to go about doing research in social sciences and commerce field. First of all, we can start with promoting research in higher education. I also have something which is which is connected with research paradigm. But if sir permits and time permits, I think we may not have that much time. We can discuss on some other platform, some other time. What do you mean by research paradigm? Because research paradigm and research methodology, philosophy specifically, is something which without which if you start a research, that means you are an incomplete researcher. You are not a person who has done a comprehensive work. So you've done just a peripheral work just to gain some some degree, or maybe, to get some promotions out of it, the reason. So you have to be a core researcher. And when you want to be a core researcher, you need to understand the concepts, like what is a research philosophy. For example, while framing objectives, you need to back the objectives with research philosophy. So unless you understand that, your research is the circle is incomplete. So I'll try to dwell upon that topic if the time is permitted, but I'll start with the need for promoting research in higher education. I'll start with a slideshow. If the slide is not moving, then probably I'll start with other that. So which slide you can see, sir, right now? Waghmare, sir, can you just tell me which, or anybody can, which side you can see?
Research and higher education.
Okay. Okay, you can see the next one now?
Yes, sir. It is visible. It is
Fine,
visible.
fine. Okay, then I'll keep it as a slideshow.
Yes, sir.
So what is the purpose of research in higher education? The main purpose when you discuss is to carry out research to demystify the secret of nature. Now, especially in science, technology, and social sciences, what you do is, there is sometimes what our research is, the word, it exactly goes by the word research. So you are searching, you are doing something which maybe is already existing, especially in terms of social science, and you are giving a new perspective. Okay, in pure science and technology, you are actually coming out with something new. In social sciences, generally, when you understand the concept of research, it means there's something which is existing and you are putting a new perspective of that. You are giving a different mode of that particular existing thing. That also is equally considered as a research. In pragmatic terms, if you see, search of new processes and products which make life and society better. Why NEP 2020? I think Kaptan sir is going to speak about that immediately after the session, and you must have heard about, you must have also, listened to so many sessions about research. In NEP, if you see that policy document, there are certain institutions which will be given a specific status of research universities. Then there will be autonomous degree granting institutions. So why this importance of promoting research is given in our education system in the new NEP? Because if you see the in the global map, if you see the analyze the position of India, especially in terms of research, we are far lagging behind than some of the other countries. And why it is that? We can understand that. If you read historically, the countries that invested in research in higher education, they progressed disproportionately as compared to the counterparts, and they emerged as a third world countries. So now probably we are realizing that research, if you are not giving importance in your education system, if you inculcate it in your education system, unless you do that, your country can never be like a developed country. So all those countries, if you see the GDP, proportion of GDP which is invested in higher education, in countries where there is excellent research, it is all found that those countries, the percentage of proportion of education, which is the percentage of GDP which is invested in the education sector, is much higher. So now probably we are realizing that unless we give this kind of specific and special attention and promotion in promoting research and development activities right from the education in the education field, then we may not be able to show our ourselves as an very a country, a map. We may not be able to position ourselves as a research producing research outcome in the global map. Sir, somebody's mic, you can just mute. I think Arun Shekhar.
It is muted.
Muted? Okay. So in non-scientific areas, research should be focusing on searching the truth, which is obviously the altruist. Now, research is a priority function. It is a pivotal point of higher education institutions. The development of research culture is highly influenced by the paradigm by which the institutions operate. You must have also observed that nowadays the ranking of the universities and the ranking of the institution is really gaining momentum. Everybody is focusing and gearing towards how to get a good rank. So while ranking, if you observe the criteria of ranking, you can observe that 35% of weightage is given to the research of that particular institution whose ranking is being done. So if 35% is for research, I think it's not something very, it's something very, very significant, something which we cannot ignore. So that is why, again, in the new NEP 20, the new education policy, we are focusing much on specifically a research university where no undergraduation and post-graduation level of teaching learning will take place, only on research. And technically, they will try to ensure that they are doing research which is in association with the industry. So there will be a very strong linkage between academia and industry in these kind of universities, where the industry will come out with their problems. So, and maybe, the university departments are expected to bring a solution to that problem and working in consortium with the university as well as the industry. So the major 3 international rankings, which is widespread, is Academic World Ranking, the QS World University Rankings, and the Times Higher Education Ranking. All these 3 rankings put a premium on research and research-related areas. Now, what are the research-related areas? Wherever you go for interviews, they always ask you, especially when it comes to from associate to professor or from maybe professor to associate. Of course, for the first assistant different stages, this kind of research work is not a part of their assessment. But as you become a professor and senior professor, your assessment is purely based on what amount of research work you have done. At the same time, research-related areas. Now, what do you mean by research-related areas? After doing research, you have already done research and you're happy with that, except everything, that's fine. But how well your research is recognized in terms of impact factor, in terms of the visibility which you have, the citations which you gain, and the H index and I index, which is at your credit. So research related areas is all this, that what kind of visibility you seem to show after your research work is undertaken. So in totality, what is the research work done by an institution? 35% of marks is given, weightage is given to that. And also your research standing and credibility of every person. So what are the criteria of ranking? The Times Higher Education University Ranking is the only world ranking publication that evaluates research-led universities in terms of core functions that include teaching, research, knowledge transfer, and international outlook. In the area of social sciences research, as I told, 32% is given for teaching, but 32% is separate measure for citation, 25%, and industry income innovation, 2.5%. These all indicators are closely linked to research. Now, in the knowledge-based economy, when you talk about higher education institutions' performance, the higher education institutions are a key factor in fostering innovation and play a central role in sustainable economic growth and development. Education is becoming a major driver of wealth and economic development, and higher education institutions are expected not only to create knowledge, and to respond to the needs of students and other relevant stakeholders, but also to facilitate social equality. Now, this facilitation of social equality is linked with the different kind of different kind of new ideas, innovation which you are promoting in your education system. Now, let us talk about research in commerce and management. What technically involves research in commerce and management? It is generally focusing on and identifying eliminating non-value added activities. Non-value added activities, by that I mean that say 4 years back, maybe 5 years back, till the time mobile banking was not so popular. Internet banking was of course popular, but mobile, till the time when you were to go to bank for withdrawing cash, what was the procedure that time? You had to literally go there. You had to, take the token and then wait in the queue till the number, the display, your token number is displayed on the screen. And then there will be an internal check and control wherein 2 or 3 persons, one will take your check, one will see in the records whether you have sufficient balance, and then the third person will go, it will go to the third person, to the cashier, and then the cashier will put it on record about the withdrawal of cash. So this was the entire procedure. Okay, what happened? Research means what? You eliminate procedure which are non-value adding. Actually going down from your building, taking a lift or walking down the stairs and going to the bank, this was an unnecessary activity. 3 different stages, your check will pass and the finally cashier will give you the cash, which is of your own property, your own money. So there were so many stages, the steps which were followed for performing one activity. Research in commerce, what it does, it identifies whether there is a possibility of maybe eliminating completely or shrinking the activity. So either of these two you are doing, and the benefit of which should be to all the stakeholders involved in that, to the entire, most of the time to the entire society. So commerce research and social sciences type of research, their focus is on mainly identifying and search for effectiveness and productivity, and how you can be effective and productive. Effectiveness and productivity. How can you increase your productivity? Actually, if you talk the definition, core definition of productivity is you do the same activity you are accomplishing that, but in the less number of time and the less number of cost. Okay, either you do the same activity with less time and less cost, or that means your productivity is increasing. So research in commerce should be based on identifying all these stages, steps, procedures, methods, and different phases. Is there any possibility of shrinking that, eliminating that, doing away with that completely, and at the same time ensure that the activity is performed with perfection and complete satisfaction? So that kind of research generally entails is what is in commerce and social science. Now, in that, the general focus should be in creating infallible accounting and management practices. When I talk about infallible accounting and management practices, I mean to say that you have also witnessed and you have read the case study of Satyam, the PNB, the Kingfisher. What was it? It was all about it was all about the lacuna, the loophole in governance and management and accounting practices. Okay, there can be a research in social science. You can identify, this is some tip and hint I'm giving, that what all areas you can go about research in the contemporary scenario, that you can do, come out with some steps, you can come out with some procedures wherein your governance becomes at the fingertip. Okay, now you have to see the forensic audit is being done. That is all digging the past. but your internal control system is laid down in such a way, the governance practices is in such a way that this type of loopholes, these types of lacuna actually does not, possibility of that does not arise. And your system is so transparent, so robust that you can easily avoid Kingfisher, PNB, and Satyam kind of cases. So this kind of, it cannot be complete, a complete governance. It can be partially, it can be an evolving phase. You can come out with one idea, maybe somebody will add to that repository in future. So slowly and gradually, maybe in a couple of years or a decade, you will have a robust governance system. So you have to try to think on those lines where these infallible accounting practices and management practices are created, which does not fail, which is robust enough, transparent enough, at the same time beneficial to the society. So this is all about research when we talk about in commerce and in management. We actually do not come out with a product, it's not something, a product. You come out with some activity, doing it in a less time, or maybe the activity you're doing, doing it more productively, the activity. So it involves sync with technology, new involving conscious and newer governance practices. Now, all these research in commerce and management cannot be done if you are not integrated with technology. So the first concept, the fundamental is, when you are doing all these nowadays, every discipline is integrated with technology. So here, while doing the innovative ideas, technology plays a very important role. Then when we talk about so big about the research, innovation, ideas, etc. Now, who is going to fund and who is going to back us? It's not that on our own with our self-initiative, you can go and do all that work. You need a meticulous understanding. You need to find out, you need to study the entire process in detail. So industry will come out with the problems, okay, and they expect us to come out with the solution. But while expecting this, what are the kind of resources which are provided to the university for that? So research is also a function of funding and finance. We have seen that, there are institutions which provide, and funding agencies which give us a lot of research support in terms of major and minor research project. But another point here to be noted is, if the procedures of getting fund is very, is too tedious. There are a lot of correspondences which has to be done. The lot of communication needs to be done. Lot of hurdles in getting finance and settling of all the payments and bills. That again becomes a deterrent. So I think that in this new NEP, there should be some mechanism wherein, if the funding is provided, then the settlement or getting the utilization certificate of this funding should be a very seamless and experience. If that seamless experience we do not have, we do not get, then I think next time, once you have done the research, next time taking up such an big undertaking and activity will be, maybe we will delay it, or we will think twice, being that, because again, settlement and the process to which the funding and resources are applied, are support is given, that also becomes an important criteria for identifying how the research outcome and seamless the research outcome can be produced and published in the public forum. So academic research, it can lead to breakthrough technologies. Research activity can lead to startup culture, majority of the digital technology behemoth. As the learner is expected to figure out the possibility of experimentation from the literature reviewed, unlike the way we currently operate, the need of resources increases, right? The time when you come from UG to PG level and then PG to research, you actually there is an increasing need of more and more resources. You need human resources, you need finance, you need monetary resources, you need infrastructure, and all these should be provided by all different types of resources. If it is provided, then only there will be a seamless experience of undertaking the research work. How do you ensure that you are initiating research and you are inculcating research value in the higher education institutions? So first thing is you should migrate to learning paradigm. You know, what we have right now is teaching centric process, instruction process, teaching. You are teaching something. In so many other universities, which is ranked very well, they have learning paradigm. That's where it differentiates and it stands apart from our institutions and universities. Even in IIMs and in IITs, you see, IIMs generally focuses on the learning, not more on teaching center. So if you migrate from teaching centered education, imparting to learning centered, that may be helpful in getting more maybe points in terms of the ranking of higher education institutions. Then you should reduce the complexity of examination. When examination also is very complex, and the entire system, if that is modified, probably we'll have more learning centered way, and we can come out with good outcome, research based and actual outcome which will be beneficial for the society and the stakeholders. So to enable the learner to develop attributes which are essentially provoking learners to think aloud and ability to question established norms and understanding. So if you are implementing these kind of strategies in your teaching learning process, then that may be that may help in developing and inculcating and research culture in the earlier stages. Now it is all about knowledge valorization. Well, what is required in this? You are actually valorizing the entire knowledge which you have gained. What do you mean by that? It is a process of creating value from the knowledge by linking different areas and sectors. It transforms data and research results into sustainable products and solutions that benefit society. It improves economic prosperity, environmental benefits, social progress, and policy making. Now, actually, what do you mean by valorize? Valorize means to give value to what you have done. You gained knowledge, but then there is no use. You're not gaining any value. The society is not getting any value out of it. Then your knowledge, it will not be converted into a research outcome. If you try to get value of whatever knowledge you have gained, then your research, then your work, everything, there will be a visible outcome of your research. It means that you're coming out with something like competitive products, services, processes, and entrepreneurial activity. Again, for gaining valorization of your knowledge, what is required? You require a positive research culture. You require to include academic and professional services, colleagues, students, and other stakeholders in the entire process of your research work. So higher education institutions need to see, will have to seek all these to inculcate the culture. There should be an inclusive and consultative approach, the interdisciplinary networking and collaboration. So with all these types of facilities, and culture, probably valorization of research will happen smoothly. And last point which I want to tell you for this session is, in the first part of my presentation, I think that will be enough for today, that in India, when you talk about research, the integrity And the originality and the plagiarism, the legal laws were not so efficient enough in a few years back. But now, of course, there are a lot of, they've implemented some stringent policies regarding to plagiarism. But in the countries which had already, which I said that they were already investing, they were investing huge amount of money compared to the underdeveloped and other countries into research. All these countries, the third world economies who have developed and who have come out very, very efficiently with new research and ideas, what is their system? Let me just explain it to you. What do they have? They have a research concordat. Now, what is a research concordat? Research concordat is a written policy of ethics which one has to follow while publishing the research outcome. Now, if I am publishing the research outcome in any of a university, if for example, if X university is publishing a research outcome, and if Harvard University is publishing a research outcome, what will be your perception about both? Okay, you will always feel that Harvard University is publishing, that means they have a certain ethical standards and benchmarks which they have to follow. And these all benchmarks, these all standards, these all guidelines are laid down legally in the policy, in their research, the area of the research. That is called as a concordat. Okay, the concordat says that your research work cannot have plagiarism. It has to be original. It has to be tested, and there are a lot of formalities. Only after passing through all these, your work is published. So if that is published, it means those who are consuming that, those who are reading that, those who are applying that, those industries which intend to use those research outcomes, they are sure that it is not a copy, it is not plagiarized, or it is not a modified one. It is something which is original. So if you have a strong research document, concordat, or a policy which gives ethics, which places ethics as on the top of all while publication or while coming out with research outcome, then these universities, those kind of universities, their research has more value and more acceptance. People will accept this without any doubts in their minds. So this strong environment, the ecosystem which is built for research work in these universities where there is a research concordat, I think there also the ranking factor plays a very important role, because the outcome of those universities are easily and smoothly accepted by all the stakeholders, be it industry, be it for citation, or be it for applying those practical, applying those techniques or ideas which are as an outcome of the of such universities. So just let me read. What is a concordat? The concordat to support research integrity aims to provide a national framework, national framework for good research conduct and its governance. It makes sure that government, business, international partners, and public can continue to have confidence in the research. So when research outcome is from these institutions where a national framework like research concordat is existing, then you have confidence that the research are original piece of work. So how do we embed the research culture in higher education institutes? You have to establish support system, boost morale, MOUs with other universities, integration with the technology, research ethics, and collaboration. So this was a brief explanation, a brief abstract, I can say abstract, an abstract of what we had understood in the previous slides. So these are the top 50 countries in social science research. United States stands first, United Kingdom. You can just brush through that, skim through the slide. The number of H index they have, the number of citations, the number of original documents which they have published. This is only for the social science research. So this is all about developing a research culture in our education, higher education system. So I think the other part, maybe due to short of time, the entire another part of explaining you what is the philosophy, we can take it in some other session, because I think we already have a lot of sessions which are going out, which are going, you know, once in a once or twice in a month, once in 2 months or once in a month. So I think some other time I can cover up these research philosophy, which is also a very, very important part, because unless you know the philosophy, I always tell, unless you know the philosophy, your work, you are not a researcher. You're just writing doctor in your as a prefix of your name, but you're missing something on what you actually should have done. So I think that with this I will end my presentation, sir, and the forum is open for questions. If there is any question answers, we can take that. Waghmare sir, I'm done.
Dear participant, do you having some question regarding Thakkar madam's lecture? कुछ क्वेश्चन है क्या आपका? कुछ मैडम को पूछना है क्या? Dear participant, do you having some question regarding Dr. Thakkar madam's lecture?
No.
I think so there is no any question.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Your lecture was very outstanding, madam, on behalf of the Internationl College and behalf of SHRI Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company. Thank you to deliver such informative and outstanding knowledge. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next resource person is Dr. Sanjay Kaptan. Is this available, Dr. Sanjay Kaptan? Dr. Sanjay Kaptan, sir. Dr. Sanjay Kaptan, sir.
I am available.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please wait, sir. Respected Dr. Sanjay Kaptan, sir. Welcome the first time to deliver as a resource person, your first time the delivery of the online lecture in our international conferences, which is conducted by so many colleges and collaboration with SHRI Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company. I would like to read your biodata in short.
Hello.
Professor, I would like to read your biodata in short.
Yes.
Professor Dr. Sanjay Kaptan, sir, is the former head of the Department of Commerce, Pune University. He was also chair, Professor D.S. Saukar, chair of the banking. Dr. Kaptan has worked as a various important positions like a director, Department of Business Administration, Amravati University, Professor, Department of the Commerce, SNDT University Mumbai, Director, Janki Devi Bajaj Institute of Business Management, Mumbai. He has recently 35 years of the teaching experience to his credit. He has authored several books in area of the management, marketing, finance, banking, and commerce. Professor Kaptan sir has written 5 volumes of the Encyclopedia of Commerce. Dr. Kaptan sir has delivered lecture on the Vyas channel. He has also published near about 35 reputed journals, number of the papers and the articles in national and international conferences. He has recipient of the State Teachers Award, the state government of Maharashtra. He is the best teacher award received from the Amravati University and the best teacher award from SNDT University. Savitribai Phule Pune University has honor as an innovative teacher award. He also a recipient of 4 awards for the outstanding contribution to literature of the State Government of Maharashtra. This is a very big biodata. We have very less time. I would like to request respected Dr. Kaptan sir, please continue your lecture as a resource
Thank you.
person, and welcome
you.
again in our one-day international conference behalf of RD National College as well as behalf of SHRI Waghmare Brothers NGO and private event management company. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
Thank you. First of all, let me ask you, can you see my presentation? Can you all?
Yes,
You?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Can you
Yes,
big?
thanks
Can you do the
for
big?
Thanks to the organizers for inviting me on this occasion.
अच्छा मैं फोन किया तेरे को संडे का दिन एक का ही काम है वो एक
Anand Shetty sir, please mute yourself.
काफी मैसेजेस डाल रहा हूँ
Anand Shetty sir.
बट उसमें ना वो अपनी जो रूपा गोखले लाइब्रेरियन ना वो उसमें नहीं है तो मैं बोला तेरे को
Hello.
Sir, please
someone is
continue.
talking.
Please
Hello.
continue.
Hello.
Muted. Please continue.
Today, I am honored by the organizers by giving me an opportunity to speak on the new education policy 2020. My topic basically is related with how this new education policy shall influence the teachers and what are the challenges that it will pose before the educators. Before I start my presentation regarding new education policy, let me explain to you the global scenario of the educational and innovative world. If at all we consider the economies of the world today as they stand, we find that amongst the first 10, India has no position. Germany, South Korea, Singapore, Switzerland, Sweden, Israel, Finland, Denmark, US, and France are the economies that rank ahead of India in terms of innovation. If we consider the economies in terms of their contribution to the world economy as well as to technology advancement and educational advancement, again, Sweden, South Korea, Denmark, Netherlands, Finland, United Kingdom, Japan, China, Germany, Australia are the countries that are ahead. Again, in this list also, India has no position. If at all we consider innovation as a major criteria of education's contribution to the economy, to the development of a nation or society, then if on these parameters also, the world's most innovative countries are Switzerland, Sweden, US as the same again, which means India is yet to get any position on these parameters also. If we consider the BRICS countries only to find out where India stands, again, India is the least literate amongst the BRIC countries also. So India needs to change many things so far as economic and educational advancement is concerned. It is said that education is the best investment for every society. But if we consider investment as a parameter in education, Bhutan, Zimbabwe, Sweden are the countries that are spending more than 7.5%, whereas India spends only 2.7%, which means India is still to grow and improve its position. Expenditure on education, if we consider different countries and where India stands, Sweden ranks first by 7.6% at global level, where India's expenditure is only 3.5%. So what our new education policy intends to do? In simple and very clear words, we want to